I just slept for a few hours. I'm like a very, a weird sleeper, There's times I'm up all night. I'll go to sleep 1 to 6, like 1 p.m. to 6. Sometimes I'll wake up early in the morning. I'll be up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like all over the place. But, you know, just woke up maybe like about 15 minutes ago. It's kind of crazy. But I was up all night. I was literally up all night. I didn't sleep. So, it is what it is. I guess I'm like Paul Stanley from Kiss. I go to sleep whenever I choose. I wake up whenever I choose. I just wanted to kind of say something to people that may not be the most pleasant thing to hear. It may not be the most pleasant thing, but it's honest. All right. And sometimes honesty, like honesty is such a lonely word. You know what I mean? It's a lonely word, but it's also a hard word to hear sometimes, honesty. The truth is that, like, here's an example. All right. I have many loans right now in my name that I currently pay on a monthly basis. So let's talk about some of them. And now this applies to the AMC MOASS. I have certain credit cards, okay, where I have, let's just say limits of, let's just call it, we're not going to get specific, okay. I got some that are higher, some that are lower. Here's one I got like that's $10,000, okay. I don't really use credit cards that much. So I have to say I have excellent credit because like whenever I use a credit card, normally I'll just buy something and then I'll pay it off the next month. You know what I mean? I really, really don't use credit cards. I'm a cash guy. But there's just certain times where, for whatever reason, let's just say, on the very rare occasion, I don't have a large amount of cash on me, and if I'm making a very large purchase, like normally Christmas time is when I notice it happens because my wife likes to buy a lot of things online. That could be the case too. Like, you know what I mean? And you have to pay with a credit card. Like she goes on Amazon or whatever the case may be. Or if let's just say we're in a store and my wife really wants something and let's just say I got 3,000 in cash on me, but let's just say it's like I'll give you an example. Okay. There was a time we were at, I think it was, Ashley Furniture, and, we bought that beautiful, sectional that we have downstairs. It was $7,000. So I didn't have $7,000 in cash on me. I had to use a credit card. So there's always good and bad to have credit card because see, some people, what they do is they don't pay it off. They'll charge something and they'll keep it going and they'll pay interest for like ever. And I don't do that. I pay it right off. That's why I have excellent credit. But at the same time, it's kind of like a good thing to have. So you might be like, shut the F up. Get to the point. Okay, I'll get to the point. It's kind of like what's happening with Ken Griffin. Okay, now there's two things going on with this dude. Okay, the first thing is verifiable. Okay, and the second thing is not verifiable. So what's verifiable? He has a certain short position that's verifiable. It's something that he does disclose to the SEC. It's something he does disclose to the DTCC or FINRA or any government agency that would ask him. Okay, he does disclose it. It's available. Okay, it's available on you can do your own due diligence on Ortex. There's many sources. Okay, where you could find out not only his short position, but if he's long on AMC, which I believe he is as well. I believe he's playing two sides of the fence. The thing that's not verifiable are the synthetics. You understand? That's not verifiable. And that, my friends, is the real true answer of the MOASS. So this is what the problem is. Short positions such as synthetic shares, okay, these are just promissory notes. And the problem with this, and I feel it should be illegal. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me why this goes on. Apparently, he can borrow. Okay, it's like IOUs. Any amounts, it could be anything, apparently, of shares that he wants to bring AMC down. Now, from all of the reading, now Tony De Niro's a very intelligent man. Maybe he can answer this question, but from all of my due diligence, you don't pay interest on synthetics. You don't pay interest. So it literally cost him no money. Like, I'll just give you, I'm just using this as a technical example, okay? He could go out and borrow 100 billion shares. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm just giving you, we're just having like a conversation, okay? And literally not have to pay interest on it. Nothing. It doesn't cost him any money. He's not borrowing it from any place because it doesn't exist. It's just it's a synthetic Fugazi share, and he doesn't have to pay. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And the question is, how many of these does he have? Because he doesn't have to disclose this to the SEC. See, that part of transparency doesn't exist. Synthetic shares. In other words, verifiable, shares that he truly is borrowing, short positions, that he has to disclose to the SEC. But synthetics, he doesn't have to disclose it to the SEC. He doesn't have to disclose it to the DTCC. He doesn't have to disclose it to FINRA or to anyone. Okay, so now let's talk about, because they always talk about, cost to borrow and all this stuff, okay. As long as Ken Griffin has the sufficient amount of collateral and capital where he could keep paying, it's like a credit card, where he could keep paying the interest on whatever, it is that he borrowed, whatever his real position is, whatever his real short position is, then he could avoid a margin call. And he could avoid it for a long time. It's the same thing, like my bank doesn't care, like on my credit card now, even though I pay it off right away. I don't have to pay it off right away. If I went out to Ashley, Furniture, and I would have charged $7,000 on my $10,000 credit card limit, and I paid even the minimum payments, I just paid the interest every month, they wouldn't care if I kept that going for the next 5 years. They don't care. Pay me my interest, mother effer. They want interest. So now you might say, man, this sounds like a lot of FUD. It's not that it's FUD, it's realism. You understand? There's a difference between FUD and there's a difference between realism. So, but this is the way, now we're going to get to the good part, okay? He can't technically keep this going forever because at some point, he wants to make money. You understand what I'm trying to say? So he does want to, in fact, close his short positions at some point. The thing is, we don't know what is going on in his head or any of these short sellers. We don't know what's going on in their heads. And, it could be a lot, maybe because he buried himself so tremendously in debt with synthetics. It could be maybe the government is aware of this and maybe they're like, look, stall. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot of these distraction plays. That's why I think you're seeing the TBLTs, the support.coms, even DWAC, and you're seeing a lot of plays lately because I think this is part of a strategy to get apes to sell their AMC. Because I believe today, the same thing I believed over a year ago, that there is tremendous use of synthetic shares in AMC. And it could cause not only Citadel to go bankrupt, okay, and not only Ken Griffin to go bankrupt, but it could cause a severe impact on our economy. I mean, AMC could have a potential to really go. If this was all played out fairly, okay, if this was played out fairly, AMC could be bigger than Berkshire Hathaway. I'm not kidding you. Because, and you might say, well, how do you figure that? Because we don't know the amount of synthetics being used. But you see, the biggest problem that we have right now, the biggest gigantic 2,000 pound gorilla that we're battling, is that he doesn't have to disclose the synthetics. So what we need is something, a catalyst to happen that will force a margin call. See, that's what we need. Now, if he's forced to cover, he's like, there's a term I like to call, it's called FUBAR. Fucked up beyond all recognition. FUBAR. Effed up beyond all recognition. Now, because he has to cover everything. Not just the real, short position, but the fake shares, the fugazi shares, the synthetic shares. Now, you might say, well, what's going to cause, this to happen? That's the thing. Nobody knows. August 4th could come around and, Adam Aaron could just announce that Disney or Paramount, there could be some huge announcement that there's going to be a buyout or there's going to be some sort of a strategic partnership, and it's going to be something that will drive AMC all the way up to over $100 a share. There'll be FOMO buying. And see, now it's going to get to a point, you understand, where the banks are going to come knocking on Citadel's door. And they're going to say, pay up, mother effers. And then he may be so buried in debt that he can't avoid a margin call. And see, that's when the magic starts. And that's when life-changing wealth starts. That's when generational wealth will start. And that's when our lives will change and we could become the new 1%. So, but the thing is, that's what you're seeing here. You're just seeing a game. You're seeing a game where he's not in a position right now where he has to cover or close his short positions. No one's banging on his doors. He's got the sufficient cash. He's got the sufficient collateral. He has a mountain that's probably 1,000 times the size of Mount Everest of fake shares on top of AMC's back. Okay, that drove it down to these prices. It doesn't make any sense. Adam Aaron says we own 90% of the float. There's only 513 million shares. There's no reason for us to be this low. Okay, so that's the total situation. Okay, so basically, all of these videos that you keep hearing from Finance News and you keep hearing from New York Angelo and Buy the Dips and the Creative Investor and J. Lou, that the word on the street is that it's all about to wrap up, is complete and utter bullshit. Now, see, a lot of times people misinterpret. They think that the Apefather doesn't want AMC to squeeze. They think I'm some kind of FUD. Do you know how much money I invested? Over $200,000. I'm talking about from the beginning to this point. I've invested well over $200,000 in AMC. You think I don't want it to squeeze? It's like that song by the OJs, If you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know me. Ooh, yeah. If you think I don't want AMC to squeeze, you're all smoking some serious lines of cocaine. So, yes, I wanted to squeeze. I'm just giving it to you real. Look, what I'm telling you affects me just as much as it affects you. So that's it. We're going to be playing this game until there's a forced margin call. That's it. Ken Griffin's not going to just, all this BS of there's going to be a managed event is all. I said it from the beginning. The second that Lou said that, who was the one? Me. I don't know if you remember that. Who was the one who said managed event? My balls. He's not willingly going to want to cover. Why? This is a guy who hangs out with all his billionaire friends in his big leather seat with his feet up, Ken Griffin, and they're all making fun of him. They're all like, you're going to let the retail investor, you're going to let these retail investors who call themselves apes, dumb money, they call us, okay? You're going to let them beat you, Ken Griffin, the king, the billionaire, you know what I mean? My devil, as Lou says it, and then he has his pride. He has his pride, he's sitting back with all his billionaire friends and he's like, I will not let these apes win. And then he's got this little boy toy, what's his name? Charles Gasparino, who's always ragging on us because he's, obviously he's got his shine box and other boxes, which I don't want to get into with Ken Griffin. But let's just leave it at he wants to pleasure Ken. He wants Ken to be happy. We'll leave it at that. Okay. You could fill in the rest of the details with that guy. But the thing is, we need a forced margin call. We need a catalyst that will bring us over the top. So you have to have patience. That's it. See, and I know what's happening is a lot of apes lately don't have patience anymore. And they don't want to wait. They don't realize this could be the biggest payday of their lives. They don't want to wait. They're jumping in other plays. And, you got John Wick snipping, Teddy Zane, and you got all these apes now that are becoming, well, I don't even want to call them apes. let me refrain from calling them apes. Let me call them grapes, because that's really the size of Teddy Zane's balls. And I'm being generous because it could be smaller than grapes. Let's call them grapes. And they're leading the way. They're paving the way for real apes who are getting very frustrated and very tired of AMC to sell their AMC shares for TBLT and for other plays, upcoming plays, because they're tired of waiting around. But you know what? I look at it like this. Most Americans have to work, 20 years, 30 years of their lives just to make $1 million. I mean, the average American's making about $50,000 a year. Okay. So let's just go with 20 years. Okay. They got to work 20 years of their life. And now that's $1 million gross, not net. They got to pay taxes, which is a lot. 40%, 30, let's just call it 35%. What okay, so 30, in the 30s, 33, 35. Everybody has different tax records, okay? Depends on their income, but whatever the case would be. So then you got to figure they got living expenses, entertainment expenses, unemployment, everything, all the other little things they have to pay, disability, Social Security that comes out. Okay. How much do you really think they're left with that $1 million after 20 years? Not much. And even if they're saving, not much, maybe 100 grand, 150,000. And that's in 20 years. So the way I see it, if I have to wait 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, I'm really seriously okay with that. But the thing is, I know that this is going to turn out to be very heartbreaking for a lot of people, because they might miss the biggest opportunity of their lives simply because they don't have patience. Axl Rose, man. All you need is just a little patience. He's gonna come. He can't keep this going forever, because Ken Griffin and all these short sellers, believe it or not, they do want to close their short positions because they want to make money. They're just being really, really greedy. Really, really greedy. Kind of like how Teddy Zane was taking that $5. I think that's greedy. Look, I'm sorry. I'm losing a little bit of respect for Teddy lately. I have to say the truth. I liked him. I thought he was a great guy, but I just don't understand how somebody could make $100,000 on TBLT and then you're doing, so what are you, Matt Cause? What are you becoming, Matt the Weasel now? That you're accepting $5 in super chats from people? And he's like, thank you. Nah. You can think whatever you want. I heard he closed his restaurant, but you want to know what? God bless him. The guy portrays himself. Now, if he's hurting for money, maybe that's different. But then he should be honest, right? He should be. I was honest when I had to sell 500 shares of AMC because I had an emergency in my family and my wife, had to have a certain treatment that was not covered through the insurance. I was completely honest. I said, family comes first. I need access to over $15,000 and I had to sell 500 shares. I've since then bought back those shares and a lot more than I bought back. But I was honest about it. If Teddy Zane is like hurting for money because his restaurant closed, be honest. Just be like, look, I need the super chat money. I'd be the first one to give it to him. But that's not the way he comes across. He comes across like he's the day trading king. He comes across like he's making $100,000 on this play, $30,000 on that play, $50,000 on this play. He's buying all these cars, got beautiful house. So he doesn't come across like a person who's hurting. So that's when I see him accepting $5, I think there's something wrong with that picture. But anyway, I don't want to talk about Teddy Zane. So that's the whole story. That's the truth. So every time you watch these clickbait AMC YouTubers, do you understand why I have to call them out? Do you understand why I have to rip them apart? Because it just bothers me. It's not that I don't believe in AMC, because I do. I have a lot of money in it. I wanted to squeeze, but I am tired of these AMC YouTubers lying just to get views. And that's another reason why the Apefather has been making, I don't think you've probably been noticing, I don't like to make a lot of AMC videos anymore. Because there's really nothing else to talk about. It's like, here's the bottom line. We need a catalyst. We need AMC to go high to a certain point, which will then ignite a forced margin call and make us all millionaires. Other than that, there's nothing else to talk about. Like, what else is there to talk about? So that's why I've been kind of steering more into being an entertainer, telling jokes, doing music, food videos. And it's not that. See, people interpret that I don't believe in AMC. They're like, what is it? Why don't you talk about AMC every single day, Apefather? Why don't you keep giving us Walt Disney stories like Blue and make up things like UFOs are going to start the MOASS? Because I just find it to be a new. Once in a while, I do it just as a parody. I do. Once in a while, I'll throw a little clickbait in there because I just like it just irritates me so much how many views that Lou's got over 60 million more views than me that it irritates me. So once in a while, yeah. And Finance News has a ton of views too. So once in a while, I'll do a little clickbait. But it's just a joke. We're not squeezing because of UFOs. So if I made a video like that, you should use common sense. I actually did make a video like that. I said I was driving. You have the movie Fire in the Sky, and I said I saw a fire in the woods. And I said I saw a UFO that was flashing AMC to Pluto. And I made a video saying that that's the catalyst. That's the MOASS. Do you know that there were people who actually believed it? They're like, are you serious? They followed. Did you really see UFO? It's the same thing when I said that someone came to my house with a briefcase with $1 million in it. Teddy Zane made a video about it. A strongman personal finance, whose real name is Meet Kevin's Balls Washer Finance. They all made videos. They're like, hey, Paula, he's claiming someone came to his house with a suitcase with $1 million. They don't understand. I was just doing a parody of what Lou says. When Lou says that he gets all these offers from corrupt banks that are offering him more money than the MOASS, and he's turning it down. Funny thing is, Lou doesn't even want his MOASS money. He's already made it clear that if AMC has the MOASS, he wants nothing to do with it. He doesn't want to keep 1 cent of the money. He wants to give it to a very special person in his life. Yeah. This is why I call out the garbage. So this was a very important video, don't you think? I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. I'm an entertainer. AMC to Pluto. And for all of you that are wondering, yes, I'm on the throne making this video. Down into the New Jersey sewer system.